Now, the Chwezi dynasty was a powerful institution centuries ago, and tonight I'll bring you amazing pictures and compelling historical myths about it. I will take you to the small Nyakasura village in Kabarole district in western Uganda. It's believed that this village was home to the Chwezi king, and in what was his compound stand huge caves with breast-like hanging protrusions, producing grayish milky substance. Nearby, there are breathtaking waterfalls said to be medicinal that keep streaming from the rocks. But most importantly, we shall explore why these massive caves are called Mabere Nyina mwiru. Tucked away in the middle of the forest, about 10 kilometers out of Fort Portal town in western Uganda, is a fine, fast waterfall cascading down an interesting cave. Getting down this waterfall involves walking through a slippery path that penetrates a thick but cool green moss and fern covered by trees and rocks. We were escorted down this thicket by a young man who has the history of this place at his fingertips. Apollo Musinguzi is his name, and his keen interest to detail the historical myths about the Mabere Nyina mwiru caves is impressive. But the thing that first catches our attention is the unique carvings on the cave, and including the milky substance that drips continuously from the rocks. Folk tales about here that the milky substance is actually milk dripping from a breast that was reportedly chopped off from a beautiful girl called Nyina mwiru. And it's from this legend that the cave derives its name. Whether this is true or not is debatable. However, the existence of the Great Chwezi dynasty in this area is taught in history in Ugandan schools.
Not one time this area was dominated by a group of people called the Chwezi. So they were like demigods, they had supernatural powers. So they would foretell things and then disappear mysteriously.
Apollo tells us that right where we are standing was the compound of the king of the Chwezi. The legend goes that King Bukuku, who ruled the Chwezi dynasty, had a beautiful daughter called Nyina mwiru, whom he jealously guarded. But one thing the king did not know was that just like all teenage girls, Nyina mwiru was secretly dating a young man from another kingdom.
But Bukuku never wanted his daughter to get married, because he was foretold that once his daughter got married, she was going to produce a baby boy who was going to kill him and take over the kingdom.
That young man eventually married Bukuku's daughter in a secret marriage ceremony. And due to his anguish and frustration for letting the girl slip through his dragnet, the king cut off one of her breasts. It's believed that breast was thrown somewhere in these caves, and it's this breast residency I believe still leaks through the rocks.
Bukuku continued to get more scared stories. Yeah. Where he had an option of killing his daughter. But the wise men advised him not to kill the daughter because she was so innocent. He went back to the place of his daughter and plucked off one of her eyes.
However, Nyina mwiru eventually gave birth to a baby boy who was later to take over the Chwezi dynasty, fulfilling an earlier prophecy, the king's source of paranoia. The king immediately ordered for the baby's murder, but it's believed the baby was just placed safely somewhere in these caves. And by sheer luck, the little boy named Dahura was picked up and raised by a good Samaritan and grew up into a strong herdsman. Later, a fight for grazing land between Dahura and the king led to the death of Bukuku.
So when he saw the king, he started beating his lovely cow. It was called Beloved Hogo. And the king moved near Dahura and then held the spear at him, but missed his target. So Dahura picked the spear and directed it to the king's stomach. So the wounded king died.
And as earlier predicted, Dahura took over the reins of the Chwezi dynasty. However, geologists have a completely different explanation for the state of the caves. They say rocks such as these are made up of chemical components called calcium carbonate. Scientists argue that the chemical reaction between the calcium carbonate and the water that seeps through the rocks leads to the production of the grayish, milky substances.
The rock is permeable, it's well jointed, so it allows water to penetrate. So when water passes through, then it dissolves somewhat calcium carbonate from the rock. then carbon dioxide is set free.
In turn, the milky substance form protruding breast-like rock pillars called stalactites and stalagmites.
So as that water drips from the roof, the cave, then a little solid calcium and magnesium remains on the upper surface of the cave. Then the carbonate grows a column called the stalactite. Then another solid grows from the floor. So after hundreds of years, millions of years, they meet, forming what? Forming the pillars. Yeah, forming.
These hanging pillars, from which the name Mabere Nyina mwiru originates, is a local name for breasts. Nobody knows exactly how long this rock has been here. It could be hundreds, probably thousands of years, but the mystery of its growth is what puzzles many. It's believed the rock grows by only 1 inch per year. But something more amazing here. Have you ever heard of friendly wild bees? Well, on our way out of the caves, we bumped into harmless bees that kept humming away as we watched, not bothering to strike us for invading their space. Like we have seen, the site at Nyakasura village where the Mabere Nyina mwiru caves are located are indeed awe-inspiring. However, the jury is still out on whether the Chwezi dynasty really existed. The Chwezi legacy largely remains a historical myth, and there is very little evidence to show that the institution really existed. Chwezi emperors reportedly reigned over a vast area covering parts of Nyanza province in Kenya, Tanzania, and South Sudan. Many theories abound in trying to establish the true identity of these people, but the bottom line is that it all boils down to belief. I'm Isabel Nakiria for NTV Connect.